Use your 24 hours wisely. It will change your life every morning that you open your eyes. Life has given you the most precious gift anyone could ask for, another 24 hours. Think about it. How often do we take this for granted? We wake up, check our phones, scroll through social media, complain about the weather, or dread the tasks ahead. But do we pause for even a single moment to say, thank you? Do we realize how many people prayed for one more sunrise but didn't live to see it? And yet here we are, blessed with another chance to live, to love, to learn, and to create. Gratitude is the first key to transforming your 24 hours. You see, gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a lens, a way of looking at the world. When you put on the lens of gratitude, even the smallest, simplest moments begin to look like miracles. The morning light peeking through your window, the ability to breathe without pain, the sound of a loved one calling your name. These are not small things. These are the treasures we often overlook. When my life changed dramatically, when I found myself confined to a wheelchair, I had two choices. I could drown myself in self-pity and think about all the things I had lost, or I could focus on the blessings that were still with me. And believe me, once I chose gratitude, I discovered that I was wealthier than I had ever imagined. I had the love of my family. I had the power of my voice. I had the chance to inspire others. Those blessings were worth more than anything I had lost. You may not realize this, but gratitude is also fuel. It gives you energy to face your day. A grateful heart wakes up with hope. It sees challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow. On the other hand, when you start your day with complaints, with negativity, you drain your energy before the day even begins. Gratitude fills your soul with strength, while complaining empties it. So ask yourself, how do you begin your 24 hours? Do you wake up thinking, oh no, another long day? Or do you wake up saying, thank God, another chance to live, another chance to try again, another chance to write a new story? That difference in attitude will change how you use your time. And gratitude is not only for the big things in life. It is especially for the little ones. You may not have the job you dream of, but be grateful you have the skills to work. You may not live in a palace, but be grateful for the roof above your head. You may not have perfect health, but be grateful for the heartbeat that still gives you life. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring your struggles. It means refusing to let your struggles blind you to your blessings. Because when you wake up with gratitude, your entire day shifts. You walk differently. You speak differently. You treat people differently. Gratitude transforms not only your 24 hours, it transforms you. Life is unpredictable. It does not always go according to our plans, our dreams, or our desires. We cannot always control what happens to us, but what we can always control is how we respond, and in that response lies our true power. That is the power of choice. I want you to think for a moment about your own life. How many times have circumstances knocked you down? How many times have you faced moments when you felt you had lost everything? Maybe it was the loss of a loved one. Maybe it was a dream that slipped out of your hands. Maybe it was a failure that shattered your confidence. In those moments, you stood at a crossroads, to give up or to rise again. That crossroads is where your choices shape your destiny. When life put me in a wheelchair, I could have chosen bitterness. I could have chosen to complain for the rest of my life. I could have chosen to believe that my story was over. And believe me, I had every reason to feel that way. But instead, I made a different choice. I chose to live. I chose to turn my pain into purpose. I chose to be a voice for hope rather than a symbol of despair. That single choice didn't change my wheelchair, but it changed me. And when you change yourself, you change your entire world. Too often, we underestimate the small choices we make every day. You may not realize it, but every hour is filled with choices. Will you spend your time building yourself, or wasting it comparing yourself to others? Will you choose to forgive, or will you choose to carry the heavy burden of anger? Will you choose to take one step forward, or will you choose to stay stuck in fear? These choices may look small, but they are powerful. Your future is not built in one grand moment. It is built in the countless little decisions you make throughout your 24 hours. And let me tell you something important: choosing positivity, choosing resilience, choosing courage. It is not always easy. Sometimes the easier choice is to stay in bed, to give up, to complain, to let life pass by. But the easy choice rarely leads to growth. The harder choice, the braver choice, is the one that transforms you. That is the choice that builds character, that inspires others, that creates legacies. So, the question is not, what is life giving you? The real question is, what choices are you making with what life has given you? Because your circumstances may be out of your control, but your choices are always in your hands. And the beauty of choice is this: you can start again at any moment. You don't need a new year or a new month to change your life. You just need a new decision. A single choice, made in a single moment, can alter the direction of your entire journey. We often say, "I don't have time." How many times do we hear ourselves or others repeat that phrase? But let me tell you something: when you say, "I don't have time," what you are really saying is, "I don't value my life enough." Because time is not just hours on a clock, it is life itself. Every tick of the second hand is not just time passing, it is your life passing. Think of it this way: if I gave you 24 every morning and told you that by midnight it would disappear forever, how carefully would you spend it? You would probably plan every dollar, make sure none of it goes to waste, and invest it wisely. And yet every morning, life gives you something far more valuable than money. 24 hours. Once gone, those hours can never be earned back. They vanish into history, and all that remains is how you use them. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that we waste so much of it. Hours slip away while we scroll endlessly on our phones, while we compare our journey with someone else's highlight reel, while we replay the past or worry about the future. We live everywhere, except in the present moment. But here is the truth: when you understand that time is life, you begin to honor it. You begin to ask yourself harder questions. Is the way I am spending my hours leading me to the person I want to become? Is it bringing me closer to my dreams? Is it deepening my relationships? Is it healing me, growing me, inspiring me? Or am I simply existing, moving from one day to the next without meaning? When I went through the darkest days of my life, I realized something powerful: time becomes more precious when you realize it is fragile. None of us knows how many hours we really have left. Some of us will live decades, others only years. But the truth is, it is not the length of your life that matters. It is the depth of your life. And depth comes from how intentionally you use each hour. I often say, don't count your days, make your days count. Don't wait for some faraway future to start living. Don't say, "One day I will be happy. One day I will follow my dream. One day I will tell them I love them." My friend's own day is not on the calendar. You only have today. You only have this moment. And if you cannot use this moment wisely, what makes you think tomorrow will be any different? So start treating your 24 hours as your most sacred currency. Guard it. Value it. Don't give it away cheaply to things and people that drain your soul. Invest it in what truly matters: growth, love, purpose, contribution. Because when you respect your time, you respect your life. We live in a world where people are constantly investing. In businesses, in houses, in cars, in gold, in the stock market. Everyone is looking for the safest investment, the one that will give them the greatest return. But let me ask you this: when was the last time you invested in yourself? Because the truth is, the best and most secure investment you will ever make is not in material things, but in you. When you wake up every morning with 24 hours in your hand, the first question you must ask yourself is, how much of this will I give to my own growth? You see, we are so busy giving ourselves away to others, to jobs, to deadlines, to responsibilities, that we often forget the person who needs us the most: our own self. Investing in yourself does not always mean spending money. It means dedicating time and effort to become a better version of who you are today. Read that book. Learn that skill. Start writing that journal. Exercise to strengthen your body. Meditate to calm your mind. Speak kindly to yourself when the world is unkind. These are not luxuries, they are necessities if you want to live a fulfilled life. For me, there was a time when I felt completely broken. My body was in pain, my dreams had been shattered, and my future seemed uncertain. But even then, I realized that if I didn't nurture my mind and my soul, I would remain trapped in despair. So, I chose to invest in myself. I started to write. I started to paint. I began to share my story, not because I had all the answers, but because in speaking my truth, I was healing myself. That decision, to invest in myself, changed everything. Here's the thing: when you invest in yourself, you don't just change your own life, you change the lives of those around you. A stronger, wiser, happier you has the power to inspire your family, to uplift your community, to touch the hearts of strangers. The more you grow, the more you give. But you cannot pour from an empty cup. That is why filling yourself with knowledge, wisdom, health, love, and purpose is not selfish. It is essential. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes we feel guilty about taking time for ourselves. We think, "Oh, I'm being selfish if I read instead of working," or "I shouldn't spend money on that course. It's too much for me." But let me tell you, neglecting yourself is the most expensive mistake you can make. Because when you stop growing, when you stop nourishing your spirit, everything else in your life begins to suffer. So, if you truly want to change your life, start making small, consistent investments in yourself every single day. Even if it's just 20 minutes of learning something new, even if it's one page of a book, even if it's one kind affirmation you repeat to yourself. Over time, those small investments compound, just like money in a bank. And the return you will get is immeasurable confidence, peace, resilience, wisdom, and the ability to rise again no matter how many times life pushes you down. In this fast-moving world, we have mastered the art of running. Running after success, running after deadlines, running after the next achievement. But in the process, we often forget the people who matter most. We sacrifice phone calls with our parents because we are too busy. We ignore a child's laughter because an email seems more important. We miss dinners, birthdays, and simple moments because our routines, our schedules, our ambitions take priority. And yet, when we look back, what do we truly remember? Not the routine, not the deadlines, not the meetings, but the moments spent with people we love. I often say that success without relationships is the greatest failure. You can have the biggest house, but if it is empty of love, it becomes just four walls. You can have 1,000 followers online, but if you have no one to sit beside you in silence, your soul will still feel lonely. Human connection is not optional. It is the essence of life. There was a time when I too was caught in routines, thinking life was about achievements and goals. But life has a way of teaching you what really matters. When I went through my accident, when I found myself in the hospital, it wasn't my achievements that comforted me. It wasn't awards or recognition that gave me strength. It was the hands of my loved ones holding mine. It was my mother's prayers whispered at my bedside. It was the tears of my friends who stood by me when I had nothing left. That is when I realized relationships are not a part of life. They are life. We live as if people will always be there. We assume we can call them tomorrow, visit them next week, apologize next time. But life is fragile. You never know if tomorrow will come for you or for them. So why do we postpone love? Why do we delay kindness? Why do we assume there will always be more time? A routine can wait, but people cannot. That email will still be there an hour later, but your child's smile might not. That business call can be postponed, but your mother's aging hands cannot. That deadline may look urgent, but your father's voice asking, "How are you, my child?" is priceless. If you truly want to use your 24 hours wisely, you must learn to prioritize people over tasks, moments over schedules, hearts over routines. And it doesn't take hours to nurture relationships. Sometimes it's a 2-minute phone call to say, "I miss you." Sometimes it's sitting beside someone in silence just so they know they're not alone. Sometimes it's a simple, "Thank you," or "I love you," spoken before it's too late. These tiny acts cost you seconds, but they enrich your relationships for a lifetime. Because in the end, when the clock stops ticking, no one will remember how perfectly you followed your routine. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember your love, your kindness, your presence. And that, my friends, is a legacy no routine can ever replace. You can fill your day with endless activity. You can stay busy from sunrise to midnight, but if you are living without a sense of purpose, you will still feel empty. Purpose is what gives meaning to your minutes. It is the difference between simply existing and truly living. So many people confuse being busy with being productive. They think that because their calendar is full, their life is full. But here's the truth. You can spend 24 hours running around and still achieve nothing of real value if you don't know your why. And at the same time, a single purposeful act, like encouraging someone who has lost hope, or taking a step toward your dream, can make even 1 hour of your day more meaningful than a week of empty busyness. I often share that after my accident, my life felt like it had ended. I kept asking myself, why me, why this, why now? For a long time, I was drowning in that question, but when I shifted from why me to why not me, everything changed. I realized my pain had a purpose. If I could share my story, if I could remind even one person that broken wings can still fly, then my suffering was not wasted. That purpose gave me new life. Suddenly, my 24 hours were no longer about what I had lost. They were about what I could give. And that is the miracle of purpose. It transforms time. Without purpose, hours feel heavy, tasks feel meaningless, and struggles feel unbearable. But when you are driven by purpose, even the hardest days feel lighter because you know you are moving towards something greater than yourself. Think about it. Why do some people with very little still live with joy, while others who seem to have it all remain restless and dissatisfied? The difference is not money, status, or possessions. The difference is purpose. When you know your why, you can endure anyhow. When you know your why, every setback becomes a lesson, every delay becomes preparation, and every day becomes a gift. Purpose doesn't always have to be something grand or world-changing. Sometimes your purpose is to raise kind children. Sometimes it is to be a source of hope for your community. Sometimes it is simply to use your art, your voice, your skills to bring light where there is darkness. What matters is not the size of your purpose, but the sincerity with which you live it. And if you are searching for your purpose, don't wait for it to come like a lightning bolt. Start small. Ask yourself, what makes my heart come alive? What can I do today that will make someone else's life better? What legacy do I want to leave behind? The answers to these questions will slowly guide you toward your why, because once you discover your purpose, your 24 hours will never feel wasted again. Even when life is challenging, even when you feel tired, even when things don't go as planned, purpose will remind you that every second counts. Purpose is the compass that transforms time from empty minutes into meaningful moments. At the end of each day, before you close your eyes, ask yourself one simple question: what did I give today? Because life is not measured by how much we take, but by how much we give. We often wait for some grand achievement, some milestone, some big moment to leave our mark on the world. But legacies are not built in years. They are built in the small, consistent choices we make in our everyday 24 hours. A smile offered to a stranger, a kind word spoken at the right time, a hand extended to someone who had lost hope. These acts may feel small to you, but to someone else, they may mean the world. You may not even realize the impact of your actions. But years later, someone might say, because of your kindness, I didn't give up. That is legacy. When I began sharing my story, I never thought of it as leaving a legacy. I thought I was simply speaking my truth. But then, messages began to come. People wrote to me saying, your story gave me courage to live mine. And that is when I understood our lives are like ripples in water. One drop of kindness, one drop of hope. One drop of courage spreads farther than we can ever imagine. So don't wait for the perfect time to start leaving your mark. Don't wait to be famous or successful or recognized. You already have everything you need. Legacy is not about the size of your platform. It is about the size of your heart. Every day, every hour, every moment gives you an opportunity to touch a life, to inspire a soul, to make the world just a little brighter because you lived. And here's the truth: none of us will live forever. One day, our 24 hours will run out. People may forget the titles we held, the money we earned, the routines we followed. But they will never forget how we made them feel. They will never forget the love we gave, the hope we shared, the light we carried into their darkness. That is the kind of legacy worth leaving. So when you think about your 24 hours, don't just ask, how did I spend my time? Ask instead, whose life did I touch? What difference did I make? What piece of my heart did I leave behind today? If you can answer those questions with honesty, you are already leaving a legacy that will outlive you. My friends, life is short, but it is also immensely beautiful. Every morning you are given a gift, 24 golden hours. How you use them will determine who you become and what you leave behind. Be grateful for every new day. Make courageous choices. Remember that time is life, not just minutes. Invest in yourself so you can grow. Value relationships over routines. Live with purpose, so every moment has meaning. And above all, leave a legacy of love, kindness, and hope in every single day you are blessed to live. Because your life will not change in 1 year or 1 month or 1 week. It will change the moment you decide to use your 24 hours wisely. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Make today so purposeful, so beautiful, that even if life ends tonight, you will leave behind a masterpiece.